Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Barb Bacon, and I'm a community advocate here in South Charlotte. If I had my buttons on today, it would be let's get some gun control. I'm tired of looking at the news and seeing this. Black Lives Matter in honor of our friend Joel, and let's have equal rights for everybody.
Hello, this is Jenny James Gunn. I am a community advocate here in Charlotte, North Carolina for LGBT women's rights with the National Organization for Women, gun sense laws with Moms and Men Action, and anything that extends equity to all. Thank you.
Hey, I'm Christian Cano. You're the co-host. My buttons are Moms Men Action, gun sense legislation, healthcare for all, Medicare for all, and also in my heart, Black Lives Matter on behalf of Joe Oldham, who's a guest of ours who passed away last year. That's it.
Good morning, everybody. It is Coffee and Pan Dulce time. Woo-hoo! And it is the last Wednesday of June,
Wow.
June 26th to be precise, if you're seeing this when we go
Gone
live.
by fast.
It's darn dear, gone by fast.
Darn dear. Got your Texas accent going.
And we are going full-blown summer, and it's been quite toasty here in the greater Charlotte area where we broadcast from.
Yeah.
And most of the time, unless we're in an undisclosed location, and we've been, this has been the running joke the whole year, but the every month, every part of the year has gone by so fast. Like we blinked and we missed 2024.
Yeah.
Not hurting either one of our feelings. But for sure, this is Coffee and Pan Dulce, June 26th, and happy to see you, Boo.
Yeah, happy to see you. Jenny and I, before we started taping, we're talking about Justin Timberlake, and we'll talk about that a little bit because we'll get our reactions in the beginning. But as Jenny said, everyone, welcome to Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'm Christian Cano, one of your co-hosts, along with Jenny Gunn. Barb Bacon, we're waiting for her to return from hiatus. It is June 26th when you watch this. It is incredible. The year is halfway over. Jenny and I, that's been our running thing all year, all season long. This is our 7th season. And it's going by fast. So I'm enjoying it. I actually, if you're watching this show, I'm getting ready for the undisclosed location that we record from here in a couple of months. If you're listening to us, you have no idea what I'm talking about. So we do want to thank those who watch us on Facebook and YouTube, and then the thousands who listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. So with that said, Jen, today's topic is Gen X, the trigger generation. We've been talking about this topic for a couple of years. Full disclosure, I'm a Gen Xer. Jen's a Gen Xer. Mama Ruth, who was one of our co-hosts, is a Gen Xer. So, we're talking about this because we're talking about it from experience. And, we wanted, and we're going to kind of examine very briefly in our segment, why are we the trigger generation? Ted Cruz, all of the Gen Xers that we know of, why do they get so triggered? From a voting standpoint, the Gen Xers are considered to be in the peak voting age, which means that they should be voting at the very highest percentages, and they're not necessarily always voting. So we'll give some data on that. But before we do, we're going to jump directly into Barb's current events.
Barb's current events.
Okay, Jen, in honor of Texas, which is kind of hard to do, we're going to, the three topics are going to be Texas-based, all right? So if you're watching or listening, get your notepads out. This is going to be Texas-based. The very first one is, and we talked about this, I think, last week. In Texas, water is bubbling up from abandoned oil wells still. And I know we talked about this. There's over 10,000 abandoned oil wells in West Texas and so forth, and many of them need to be capped, I guess. And it's to the point where the water is bubbling and coming out onto the fields and poisoning the crops. So that is very interesting. That's the first one. The second one is, and for full disclosure, I want to make sure that we cover all things. There was a, I guess he was like an intern or he was a medical student or something. And he was the person that apparently was the whistleblower for the transgender care situation in Texas. And what he did is he actually hacked into a hospital's records and released names of families whose children were under care for various reasons. And now he's been indicted in federal court because what he did was a federal violation. But he's telling them, his defense is, I was a whistleblower. That was the second one from Texas. The third one, there was a candidate, and to be fair, I want to make sure we cover, he was a Democratic candidate for county commissioner in Fort Bend, Texas, and he actually created a fake profile and started posting fake racist things against himself, so that way he could kind of get publicity. I think it was on Facebook or something, and he has now been indicted for something, something for doing that. So, and he's a Indian American, Taro Patel, and he was running as a Democrat, and he was trying to get the sympathy vote. So those are three Texas-based things. Jen, have at it.
Well, I'll address Mr. Patel first. I hadn't heard of this one, but it is awesome. First of all, he's more than welcome to switch parties like Cotham did here in North Carolina. He's welcome to go to the Republicans. He'd fit right in. I mean, especially with their felonious leader. The water thing is a long time. It's literally they fucked around and now they're finding out. This isn't nothing new. There's been a huge concern about groundwater and crops because Texas derives a lot of its income off agricultural, especially plant-based things like cotton and food and citrus, and agriculture and farming is huge for the long-term stability of Texas and also other parts of the nation that depend on Texas produce.
Yeah.
Texas and California probably are two of the biggest produce producing states. And it's a huge mistake for Texas to ruin its environment and you need to go in and cap these wells and do whatever they need to do it if it is fixable. Yeah. And the third topic was the
whistleblower, alleged whistleblower. He was indicted.
So he's a piece of shit cyber terrorist that needs to be thrown out of the prison. When you break into people's medical records, first of all, there's the HIPAA that protects medical records. You're just a fucking dick. You just, whatever bad things could happen to a human being, I hope they happen to him. If he accidentally gets dropped into the ocean out the back of a C-130, accidents happen. But what a piece of shit where you wake up and you decide that you're going to fucking hack into people's medical records. The government, first of all, doesn't need to know about anybody's medical records.
Yeah.
So you're not really a whistleblower. A whistleblower is somebody they weren't doing anything wrong, stupid ass.
Yeah.
Like, what a fucking shit stick breaks into fucking people's medical records and acts like he's here, like some kind of fucking fucked up Robin Hood.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're an idiot, is what you are, and you're a wannabe, and you think you are a gladiator, and you really are, you know, Barney Fife. You are for people that don't remember the Andy Griffith show, like you're not even, you're a deputy sheriff, and you're not even trusted with bullets.
Yeah.
You know, you should never be near a computer again. You should never be allowed to be online again. And honestly, you need to spend the rest of your life in prison, because we don't need people in society breaking into whatever it is, whether it's abortion, whether it is transgender care, no matter what we're talking about. There is no excuse for some people going legally to their doctor and providing care for themselves, for their children, whatever it is. It don't matter. They were going to a fucking doctor.
Yeah.
Fucking doctors. Like, where is the crime in that? Let the medical board handle that shit. If the medical board deems it wrong, so be it. But the medical industry needs to decide that standard, not some jackass with a computer saying, "Oh, I'm going to accumulate all these records and out all these families and violate all their private rights." I go, where does it stop? Yeah. I don't want people to take Viagra anymore and get paid for by Medicare. So I'm going to look up all the Viagra ED clients, and I'm going to turn them in to the wiener police. You know,
and then say I'm a whistleblower. Yeah, yeah.
He's blowing some whistle, but it ain't no fucking whistleblower.
Well, and that's what's Jenny. You're exactly right. When I read this, I thought, I kind of got angry. I mean, you know, he was doing his residency at the Baylor College of Medicine, and what he did is he had actually, I guess, did a little stint at the Texas Children's Hospital. And then this law passed, SB, whatever it was. And then he decided he wanted access back. He wasn't even doing his at this hospital, this Texas Children's Hospital. He asked for access after he left because he wanted to kind of like leak stuff, because he wanted to be like a Christian advocate or conservative activist, I guess is what you call it. That's when he leaked back in and took the stuff and then released them to some who made him public or whatever. So basically he put these families' lives in danger, they were doing what they are legally able to do because he thought Texas Children's Hospital was doing something against the bill, and so he became this activist. But I think he highlights it, and he's 34 years old. I hope, it jeopardizes his medical license in Texas, because who would trust him with vital information, at any hospital?
No,
but I think
he should never be able to work in medical again.
Exactly, or at least not anything where he could access sensitive information, like you said. But this highlights how the state of Texas, there is this when we say, well, what could actually go wrong? A lot of things could go wrong. When they pass these crazy ass bills and they make these crazy people vigilantes, they will start doing things thinking that they are doing things because they're kind of warped anyway, by turning people in because of an immigration bill, by calling in and saying, hey, I think there's some undocumented people working at this place, you need to do a raid. That's like a very Nazi kind of turn on your neighbor kind of thing. And that is, I know you talk about this a lot and you warn people a lot on this show and also on the show that you do. And this is an example of how these things happen is, they think they're vigilantes, and it's just, it's, I don't know. It made me very upset. So I wanted to make it one of the Texas topics.
Well, if anybody needs to be randomly punched in the face, it's this 34-year-old jackass.
That's right.
Let me tell you what, don't punch 11-year-olds. Go find this guy.
Yeah, exactly.
So punch this jackass right in the kisser.
That's right.
Knock the shit out of him.
So we want to put this into context. So if you watch Jenny's show, she does talk about, one of her 6 topics is about this white guy in Washington. I don't remember where he was. He punched this 11-year-old in the face, and it's just like crazy. And so, anywho, hey, we're going to take our first break. And so we'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce right after this.
Hey y'all, just a happy reminder from all of us at Coffee Pan Dulce. It's Happy Pride Month, Happy International Pride Month, and whomever you are, whether you're an ally or a member of the LGBT community, please celebrate and please show your pride, whether you're in or out of the closet. All lives are valid, and we appreciate y'all and fly your flags and enjoy your month. Thanks for participating. See y'all
Happy
next
Pride.
week. Happy Pride. Hey y'all, thanks for watching our spring shows and sticking with us. And we've got a fabulous summer lineup. I hope y'all are excited as I am. And let's enjoy our summers. Hot Girl Summer 2024. See y'all.
Bye, y'all.
Bye y'all. Hey y'all, thanks for watching and support local Black and brown businesses, including our sponsor, Manolo Bakery, that has some fabulous pastries, food, king cakes, all kinds of specialty cakes, swallows, and much, much more. Some of the best food you eat in Charlotte, North Carolina. Again, Manolo's Bakery, right here in East Charlotte. Thanks for watching. So we have a great fall lineup, and we encourage you to tune in to many of our fabulous shows, like our Say show, and many more things in October and November as well. Thanks for watching as always, and we'll see you next time.
Bye, y'all.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching the Florida shows. They've been wildly successful. Obviously, it's a topic that you guys have enjoyed and wanted to know more of. And we like talking about the dumpster fire that used to be the state of Florida. And we'll probably talk about it some more this summer. Thanks for watching, y'all.
Bye, y'all. Thanks for watching. Well, welcome back, everyone. Thank you. And so, listen, today's topic is Gen X, the trigger generation. And I wonder if historians and sociologists and psychologists and all the ologists, when they look back at the Gen X, our generation, if they, we're really the generation of the Karens. That's really not, it's like the older millennials, young Gen Xers, but we've had Karens. But one of the things I've always, and you talk about this a lot on your show, Jen, it's the generation where my white male fragility, am I saying that right? White male fragility seems to be at its highest with Gen Xers. They're always the victim. They're always, no one pays attention to me. You're paying attention to all of those people, but not me. And interestingly, it's not a new phenomenon. If we look back in our lives from high school, probably growing up, it has been something that our generation has been, the myth they have been saying for as long as I remember, even to the point that I was watching a Seinfeld episode, which is filmed in the 90s, and one of the jokes in there was about white, straight men, how they are vanishing. And so apparently this is something that has been going on for a long time. It just seems to be amplified during the MAGA crowd. And so when you look at the demographics, and I know we've done this before, when you look at the demographics in the United States currently, baby boomers are around 68.7 million. Gen Xers, our generation, is 65 million. Millennials is 82 million. And the new upcoming Gen Zs or baby Zs are 86 million. And so the Gen Zs and the millennials are over 20 million or 40 million people more than Gen Xers, which is why from a voting or like importance population, we're going to have one of the shortest terms of being the peak market. It's only usually a population has about 15 years of being like everything is focused on them. We're going to have like 7 to 8 years. And then the millennials immediately take over because the boomers lasted longer and the millennials are so many people that everything is kind of going after them. So I guess the question is, and I know we've talked about this, Jen, how did we become the trigger generation? Or do you think we're the trigger generation? I mean, I guess that's a little
I think we're the middle child generation. I think,
Exactly.
the boomers and the people slightly older than them, they're born in the early 40s or late 30s that are the few that are still alive, are the oldest kid in the family, and the millennials kind of squeezed us, and then now the Gen Z's even made it more of an issue. But
Sure.
I think we're that middle kid that kind of gets forgotten about. We're not the baby and we're not the oldest.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're just kind of sitting there in the middle and going, what do? We're not prepared to be the oldest in the room, which pretty soon we will be, because there won't be many baby boomers left.
Yeah,
And,
exactly.
and I mean, baby boomers are dying at 5,000 people a day. So let's just say that generation's not long for this world. And so there's a certain amount of logistical realities for Gen X, and we just, we kind of sat a lot of things out, including presidential politics. Like, if Kamala does become president at some point, she'd be the first, and maybe she may end up being the only Gen X president we ever have.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of questions, and baby boomers have hung on way too long, because now we got, almost 80-year-old. We do have 80-year-old presidents,
sure.
And Trump and Biden are really old, and it's not a knock on them. I don't want to be ageist, but had we had viable Gen X candidates, we wouldn't need to rely on the baby boomers anymore, because we started getting baby boomer president. Clinton was the first one.
Exactly.
Then we had baby Bush, and then Obama, and we've had 5 baby boomer presidents in a row with no Gen X. And it's because we just really, I think of all the Gen X governors out there and Gen X senators, I've gone, who the fuck would want any of them as president? Because most of them are Republicans.
Well, and
they're scary ones.
But do you remember, and I know this is hard to do, but growing up as a Gen Xer, and you and I are Gen Xers, and especially you and I grew up in Texas, I guess I didn't realize, I know I've talked about this a lot on our show before, but I had so many hopes for our generation because of the type of music we listened to, the just a lot of things. And then suddenly that hope just like, it feels like, the majority of the MAGA, and especially the Christian nationalists, are from our generation. They're the ones that have really are the base of that generation. Yes, some younger boomers, but they're just kind of going along. But the majority of the ones that are speaking out loud and so forth are of the Gen X generation. And I don't know what happened that somehow they flipped from hair bands and new wave music and heavy metal music to suddenly I'm born again Jesus, and I want an orange Hitler to be president.
Yeah. Well, and I think also too, and we forget about this because we're kind of so removed from the peak of this. But I read an interesting article, and I've talked about it once, but I'll bring it up again. Is that the HIV crisis in general really affected our generation? It killed a lot of men in our generation that
exactly.
Theoretically, most of them would still be here had they not contracted HIV that eventually turned into AIDS, and they died within days, weeks, or even months after the diagnosis. And think about the hundreds of thousands of men that passed away, and trans women to a certain extent in that era, that were either younger boomers or they were older Gen X. They were the top end of our Gen X generation.
Yeah, like me and others,
Yeah. I mean, like me and you both were born in the 60s, not to reveal any particular age, but we're both children. We were both born in the 60s, so we're on the older end of the Gen X generation. And when we were coming of age, when we were at an age where we could think about sex and think about our sexuality, HIV was at its worst. And think about all those leaders and all that potential leadership that never saw the light of day.
Exactly.
And put that in perspective, because with the millennial generation and the Gen Z generation, their gay male leaders are going to live a long and prosperous life because you can live with HIV now. Not only is it
the medications, they have PrEP, they have a bunch of things. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
and so think about what that did to our generation. Just think if it took away even 25 of all those people. Let's say they just took away 20,000 hardcore leaders out of our pool. It doesn't sound like a lot, but in a leadership respect, and it affected all races, and it was so detrimental, and that pandemic was so destructive to people that would be here now in their late 40s, 50s, and in very early 60s, but would be at the forefront of our country in many ways, that died of HIV. How many of those would have been presidential candidates? How many of those would have been Nobel Prize winners?
And maybe we would have been able to balance out the loud, obnoxious MAGA base and the Christian nationalists before they got started, because there wasn't. You're right, because there wasn't that yin, that yang for the yin, to keep it balanced. That loud, obnoxious part got more of an attention because as you said, that makes logical sense. I mean, it's kind of sad to think about it, but we lost so many potential leaders, even if they were a precinct chair, or
a mayor,
the president of the. Yeah, exactly. We lost a city
mayor,
council person,
a senator, a congressperson,
a business owner. Yeah, right. I mean, it's that is going to be something that when history looks back.
How much greatness did we lose? We'll never know that answer the question first and foremost. Yeah. But because it's so specifically HIV, so specifically decimated our male population of a certain age.
Sure.
And the majority of the people fell in that age. Because the older gay men weren't as sexually active because they usually were partnered up. And so you were seeing a lot of young men, 18,
especially
19,
when they were in their
25.
Yeah,
they were in their prime. They were feeling it. They were part of the club kid generation.
Yeah,
they were going out and having a good time, and boom, next thing you know, they're dead.
Mm-hmm.
And that applied to a lot of men of our generation. And I don't think that's the reason why I bring it up. Is why we should have taken COVID more serious.
Yes.
Because now look at the effects of long COVID. But in general, when you hurt a specific population, right now, transgender community is one of the communities under fire, as is women's body autonomy with reproductive rights. But I'll use those two communities in general. When you put those two communities under duress, and they're fighting for their medical lives, and we have wacko, vigilantes outing people, and he's not the one that we talked about in Texas is the only jackass that's done that.
Yeah.
When you have an entire political party, you have an entire mindset of being complicit on idiocy like this and taking away people's human rights, you gotta wonder where that comes from and how much trauma we're going to cause 20 and 30 and 40 years from now because we're targeting trans kids now.
Sure.
How many of those kids are going to unalive themselves?
Yeah.
And not going to be future leaders? How many women are going to not be able to reproduce because they become sterile because they weren't able, they get sepsis and it ruins their system, or they pass away? Like, how many more people do we need to purposely kill, maim, or endanger or change before we get it right? These are all preventable things. The HIV crisis being worse than it should have been was preventable. It was preventable, but Reagan blocked so many of the medications. These are things that we don't have to do. We can do better.
Well, listen, if you like what you hear from Jenny, she does have a show that comes on 30 minutes after this, 40 quicker now, because we have changed our formats. And anyway, she does have a show that comes on every Wednesday at 11:30. It's called Two Queers in a Truck. And this second and last commercial, is about her show. We'll be right back on Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Hey everyone, we just want to wish you a happy Pride. June is International Pride Month and we're celebrating it all month long. Also, we do want to thank those who watch us on Facebook and YouTube and the people who now listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platform. We want to thank you. Don't forget that our summer schedule is out, so we have our topics that we'll be covering in July and also in August. And just want to say happy Pride. I'll dance out. Happy Pride, everyone.
Hey everyone, this is Christian Cano with the Coffee and Pan Dulce Show. I want to thank everyone who watched our wonderful summer shows. We had incredible viewership and incredible listenership numbers. And we also want to let you know that our fall schedule is out. We have some great shows coming in September, October, and November. So please stay with us all fall and watch our fall shows on Coffee and Pan Dulce. I'll dance out.
Hey y'all, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce, but I wanted to talk about something personal. I have started a company with a business partner of mine called Java Notes Records. And we have an Instagram page, and in our biography, or as the cool kids call it, the bio, we have a link to our Indiegogo page. If you go onto our Instagram or our Facebook, we have a campaign going for Indiegogo, and it's helping us start this company that's going to help so many people between employment, charitable events, things of that nature. We're really doing this for our local community and really trying to help others and create a job for me too. But if you would go to our Instagram page for Java, like Java Notes Records, and I would appreciate the support. Thanks for listening.
All
Bye,
right,
y'all.
so Instagram and Facebook, Java Notes
Records.
Right, got it. Java Notes Records. All right, thank you.
Up next is Two Queers in a Truck with Jenny and Christian. And hope you guys tune in. We'll see you in about 15 to 20 minutes. Thank you. Bye.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Thanks, Jen. And listen, just want to finish up with the Gen X, the trigger generation, because it's anecdotal, but if you look on social media and if you look on Instagram, maybe not TikTok, because a lot of the Gen Xers aren't really on TikTok. They're on Twitter, Facebook, and some of them on Instagram, but most of them are on Facebook. That's kind of like the Gen X social media platform, especially in Twitter, which is why, that just tends to be. But if you look at the ones that get triggered, at least their profiles say this. With the real or not, I can't say that. Tend to be Gen Xers, tend to be from our generation. And just in case you're wondering, a Gen Xer is a person who was born between 1965 and 1979. A millennial is between 1980 and 1994. And a baby Z from 1995 to 2012. And anyone after 2013, I don't know the name of that generation, but it's like the youngest one. But interesting, like I said, when you look at the data and you look at how many millennials and how many baby Zs are together, there's like 170 million. And compared to Gen Xers and Boomers, and there's only about 120 million. So it is a huge difference in population. And just within a couple of years, the millennials will start to enter the peak in business, peak in voting. And of course, we know that they are voting like 78%. They're voting for, actually, the baby Zs are voting at higher percentages than millennials. And so anyway, demographically, the MAGA movement just doesn't make sense because they're not appealing to the biggest block. They're only appealing to the triggered Gen X and triggered baby boomers. So I don't know. You want to add anything real quickly before we talk about this Justin Timberlake thing? Okay. All right. Listen. So on Jenny's show, Jenny does a segment on her show. Well, you got to watch it, but anyway, watch her show. She talks about the DUI or DWI arrest of. Is it Justin Timberlake? Is that right?
Yeah.
So, Jenny, what was you're going to watch her show so you can figure out what she thought. But for this show's purposes, what was the first thing you thought of when you saw that come over the newsfeed?
what a dumbass. And I like Justin Timberlake. So
Yeah, so do I.
This is deeply personal because I like the guy. I've never really held any ill will. He seems like kind of one of the good guys.
Hey, 1 second, real quickly. All right, this is perfect. So now we're going to go into Pendejo Chronicles.
And this is the Pendejo Chronicles.
Okay, so the Pendejo of the week is Justin Timberlake. So now we'll do Jenny. What did you think about what happened to Justin Timberlake? Let's start that again.
Well, so my first reaction was, and I was having a conversation with my business partner. And so it made me want to look up what his net worth is, and he's worth $250 million. So this jackass has $250 million and decides that he's going to drive himself back home or wherever he was going. Instead of calling a Lyft or an Uber, like all you got to do is you don't even have to be able to talk. You can just press buttons.
And Lyft is giving 25% off rides right now, so it's like he would have gotten 20.
He could have gotten a coupon.
Exactly.
And I'm pretty sure he can spring for however much the lift could be or the deal. It's normally below $50. It's normally like 10 or 12, depending on how far you're going. And the area it was not it's an island. So there's absolutely no reason for him to do what he did. It's a very preventable error.
Sure. He could have, I know he has security and he has drivers, and as I talked to you in between our shows, the first thing I thought of was, like you did, how stupid you couldn't afford a driver. And because I actually, when this, I was in Florida this past weekend, doing some things for some of our shows. And first thing I thought, well, I lifted to the concert. And because it's 25% off, it cost me like $20, plus a tip or whatever. And I thought, can he not afford like a Lyft? So the first thing I thought of, Jenny, was he had to have been doing something that he didn't want other people knowing. He must have been visiting people that he didn't want a driver to know or a Lyft to know or something. You know what I mean? Because that's not. I don't know why you would risk that. I don't know. It's interesting. It's interesting. This is an intriguing situation because I think most Americans are, why would you do that?
Well, first of all, let's say they're dropping it off. He was going to somebody's house that maybe he shouldn't be going. First of all, it's inside the app, so it's not public knowledge. Second of all, unless that person comes to the door and the driver happens to see them and takes a picture. You're not knowing who, like, if I take a lift from here to your house, Christian, I'm not going to put in there, oh, this is Christian's house. I just put in the address and it takes me to that address. It doesn't highlight it. Maybe if it's a business or something. But honestly, you could put in the next door neighbor's address or whatever. Like if he was really doing something shady, which more and more a little bit of what you said may be true, or he was just stupid. Like there was just a brain fart. Like why in the world would a man of means that has the money, that has the wherewithal to be able to afford a Lyft or an Uber, would ever take the chance of driving either way, going to the bars, coming back from the bars? What's the point?
Well, I don't know this, but you're going to hear it first on this show. My theory is, and I'm not a conspiracy person, I don't believe in all of that, but all I know, I have this saying called you can't shit a shitter. And all I know is that if you are married and you're on tour, in concert, traveling around the country, and if you are a married guy and well-known and you're traveling the country and you want to go visit a friend, which is what he said, he's going to a friend's place, and you don't want people to know, that is, and this all It feels like something like that. He was visiting a friend that he doesn't want his spouse to know he was visiting. Because otherwise you would take your security, you would hire a car, you would do something for your or it just seems like this feels like a Tiger Woods kind of thing that we're going to find out a month from today that he was, I don't know. Anyway, that's why this doesn't feel right, because this is not something that Justin Timberlake would normally, I mean, he's kind of like the responsible celebrity,
Yeah, he has been up until this point.
Yeah, exactly.
But here's one thing that's going to out him more than anything, more than a Lyft and an Uber would, because that bill would only come back to your phone, because, when you order it, you have to order it on your phone, right? So what's going to out him that he was up to no good or doing something naughty or something unsavory? It's getting arrested and doing the prep walk and have a picture of himself on the internet with cuffs in the front.
Because then his spouse, because the first thing his spouse is going to say, I thought you texted me and said you were going to bed.
Yeah, so he's married to Jessica Biel, for anybody that doesn't know that. And so Jessica's probably sitting at home with the kids going,
okay.
All right, bro.
I got
your number. And her next phone call after she called Justin after he got out of jail, out of the pokey, is to a divorce attorney.
Well, I do. Well, anyway, that's my theory. It's not, I don't want to start this show being conspiracies, but because when I was in my 20s and 30s, I would have done something stupid like this to keep the person I was dating from knowing what I was doing. And I'm not saying I did anything like this, because at that time we didn't have Lyfts and Ubers, and I would never drive. Yeah, allegedly. All right. So,
winky.
All right. Exactly. So, hey, that's our show. That's a good time to end because we got to keep it short. It's been a great show. I want to remind everyone that Jenny's show does come on after this, and we're still in our summer shows. And the next show is our first show of July. Every July, around July 4th, we do a show called Who is America? And this is our part 4 edition of Who is America for July 4th. And the topic is why MAGAs hate America. That's what we'll be talking about on that show. So, Jenny, after this show posts, do you know any news where you're going to be, or any news you want to share?
Still working on my business, which is Java Notes Records, or it's our business. And we toured some real estate properties. Super excited about the potential location. Can't say anything official yet, but it's still in the working out modes. But we're a lot closer than we were even a week ago. And if you want to support us, we have an active campaign now on Indiegogo, which is a fundraising crowdfunding platform. And you can go on to our Instagram, which is Java Notes Records, and you can go in there and check us out. And we have a Book of Face page now that's active, and we have a bunch of cool things happening. So buy a bag of coffee, buy a T-shirt, buy something from us, buy some stickers. And we're happy to have donations as well. So I appreciate the support to all the listeners out there if they choose to do so.
All right, excellent. And this, when this drops, it'll be the weekend before, technically July 4th. I will be in West Afghanistan. So I'm actually heading to West Afghanistan next week. For those who watch the show know, West Afghanistan is the state of Texas. And with the oil thing going on, and with anyway, we need to do a show about how Texas has become West Afghanistan. I know we joked about this last year, or you kind of came up with that joke. It is becoming more real and more real that the state of Texas is becoming West Afghanistan. So, all right. Listen, it's been a great show. Thank you, Jen, for helping us helping carry the show, and we'll dance out. We'll see you next week, y'all. Bye, Boo.
Bye, Boo.
All right.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce this week. We're coming up on July 4th as well. But be careful out there. It is summertime. Make sure you're drinking the proper amount of water. That, in all seriousness. And if you notice your loved ones are dehydrated, make sure you drink plenty of water, plenty of foods. Wear a hat. Stay in the shade as much as humanly possible. Be safe out there. See y'all next week. Thanks for listening.
See you next week. Bye, y'all. Bye, Boo.
Next up, thanks for watching Coffee and Pan Dulce. Next up is Two Queers in a Truck. Stay tuned.
Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching our Coffee and Pan Dulce show every week. Don't forget you can watch us visually on our video podcast platforms on Facebook and YouTube, but you can also listen to us on your favorite audio podcast platforms like Apple, Amazon, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and all of the other ones that your favorite, whatever your favorite is. Once again, thank you for watching us on Coffee and Pan Dulce. We'll dance out.
Hey y'all, it's International Pride Month, and I want to wish everybody, our fellow queer neighbors and our allies, a happy Pride Month. Spend money in Target and your local queer Black and brown businesses as well. But happy Pride. Thanks for watching this show, and be safe out there.
Happy Pride.
Happy Pride, Dave.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.
Sounds great.
You sounded like a telenova. I mean,
I'm trying this. All I have to say is go. Yes.
As a non-Spanish speaker.
So I'm going to start. Give me 1 second. And if this music doesn't come on, Jen, I'll dub the music in, okay? So here we go.
Oh, okay.
Okay, Jen, I'm going to give the data once again about population of GenX, and then we'll talk about why we think they're triggered if we do think, they're because they seem to be the ones that are, if you watch social media, they seem to be the ones that are always posting. They get so triggered. Okay, So here we go. Good job, Jen. We only about 6 minutes left, so we'll just kind of talk about the Bedejo Chronicles real quickly, and then finish up about the what's his name? Got arrested for DUI.
Yeah,
Justin Timberlake. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Here we go. Give me 1 second. Sorry, they're doing the lawn. Can you hear it?
No.
Okay. Good. All right. I'll edit this out.
Coffee and Pan Dulce. How's that? Coffee and Pan Dulce.